Happy Sunday! It's my Saturday. Look at what a beautiful day it is outside. Do you see? So pretty. And we are watching Pee-Pee and the dogs and I, Hocus Pocus. Aren't we, Pee-Pee Smiggy? Pee-Pee. And Boo, or Tucker. And Boo. Hi, guys! And I just cleaned the kitchen, as you can see. I have my candle melts listing. It's my new candle that I was just sent. And I just made a cup of coffee. And I have my videos uploading over here. This is how I like things. Clean. We got everything clean. Now I have to go put this shirt away. And this shirt, I wore this shirt for a video. I have had, you guys, I am like in such a good mood. Do you ever just like wake up and you're like in such a fantastic mood? I woke up and I was like in such a great mood today. I read my meditation, I took a shower, I did my hair, and I just got like so much stuff done like right away. And I like sat down and I was like reading through all my messages that I received. I need to do emails tonight. Listening to all of my like messages that I had received from people. And Alex is texting me. Oh, he's here. So I gotta go out and move my car. I'll be right back. So I'm sitting outside on my patio. My husband is inside right now, heating up pizza. And I'm getting ready to read Trick or Treat, Halloween book. I'm gonna see our neighbor's patio over here, look. Isn't that so sweet? Do you see she has tomatoes out there. Then I am drinking my cup of coffee. Pike Place. Look at how beautiful it is today outside. Isn't it so pretty outside? If you go walk down here, you can see the gate. You can see see? So that's where we're all gated in, back over there. Yeah. So it is a beautiful fall day outside. I have all my stuff done. I'm just gonna read for the rest of the day and enjoy it. And I'm gonna get something to eat here in a second. I'm getting ready to watch my videos before I post them. And I'm just like relaxing. I'm like in such a great mood today. I'm like just in such a positive, great mood. I have to tell you how happy I am that we have this new patio. Like, I'm like so ecstatic. I know it's corny and it's not painted or anything. They're gonna paint it next summer, but like, you see our little, we have a water fountain and then we have like a sconce with like a thing on the top of it. Next year we're gonna get all brand new patio furniture for out here. But I'm so excited. I wanted a nice patio forever because our patio was falling apart. So I love this. But anyway, it's like warm today. It's like 75 outside. So I'm gonna watch my videos. I'm gonna read my book and relax a little bit, and then I'll talk to you guys later. Hello. So I'm finally going to get some coffee. At 6:10. I've had one cup of coffee today that I made in the Keurig. What is going on here? Is there a country music star that lives in our neighborhood? This is like crazy. There's like this country music. I'll show you this in our little neighborhood here. This is so funny. Hi, that lady was waving to me. Look at this country music. Hi, are we country music stars? What is going on here? I don't even understand. So anyway, Alex is eating some pizza left over from yesterday and laying on the couch, and he's getting like ready to go to this birthday party, which was at like a vineyard, so I'm not going. To be honest with you, I'm gonna do a live stream tonight. I'm going right now to Meijer to get deodorant. I ran out of deodorant today. I always like when I think about buying deodorant. Do you guys do this like when you buy supply, like bath supply stuff? Like, I should always buy, like, 2 of everything, but I don't. And so, like, I thought I had 2 things of deodorant, but I should buy, like, 10 of them at a time, you know? But I never do that. So, unless they're on sale, and then I do. So, I'm going to buy deodorant. I'm going to buy, you guys want to know what deodorant I use so you can know what I smell like? I smell like Old Spice, the original classic. That's what I wear. I'm going to buy deodorant. I'm going to get coffee. I guess I'll run by the post office. What else should I do? Maybe the bookstore. And it's 6:12, and I'm hoping to be home by like 7:30. And then I'm gonna go and do a live stream early today. And then I need to text my friend Lori because she's going to the casino tonight. We've been planning to go to the casino for the last couple days. Like tonight, we've been planning to go tonight. So I'm gonna see if she wants to meet up and go. And then I actually just think I'm gonna eat at the casino tonight or like on the way. Like I haven't done that in like a really long time. And I thought, you know, I might as well just go there and eat like in the deli. And get like a grilled cheese sandwich or something. Like maybe have a bad night of it. I don't know. Like I've been eating pretty healthy the last couple days. So I'm thinking about doing that and just like, yeah. And I'm like trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to vlog a lot today during the day so that I don't feel like I forget later. Because last night it stressed me out that I forgot my camera. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a 1 minute and 18 second vlog. I was like, just go home and get the camera, you know? Tanya and I used to live, because I was at Tanya's and then I had to go back how you guys heard on the vlog. But anyway, Tanya and I used to live like 2 minutes from each other, like literally not even, I mean literally like 2 minutes from each other. I wonder if I timed it, how long it would be from like my apartment to her front doorstep. It probably would have been like 3.5 minutes, honestly. And now, door to door, I probably live 12 minutes from her. So it's not like it's a long distance. She's always like, God, you live so far away. I'm like, Tanya, because she's like from small town, so she's like, oh, this is my neighbor. I just saw her while I was leaving she was pulling out at the same time that I was pulling out. Oh, Lori. Say, hey, what time are you going tonight? Hey, what time are you going tonight? Na 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 na, there's no business like show business. You guys, I listened to last night like 4 hours of that book that I'm listening to. I've been like going through like Audible books like crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. So I get 2 credits a month. You can also get 3 credits a month for like a couple dollars more, but I think I'm just gonna keep it at 2. You get 2 credits a month, right? Which is 2 books a month. But then like I'm listening to now like 3 books a week. So 3 books a week is what, 12 books a month on Audible. So I'm gonna probably be listening to like 12 to 14 books a month, which you can buy. You can buy 3 extra credits. So a credit on Audible equals a book, which is cheaper than buying the Audible version of it because they're usually like $18 or $13, or some of them are like $25. But anyway, so you just use a credit for a book. But like 3, you can buy 3 extra credits. I think it's for like, it comes with $11 a book, so $33. So $33 times 4. That's a lot of money to be spending on a book every month. You better bet your ass I'm gonna be writing that shit off for my BookTube channel, of which I make like no money. So anyway, there's a sign over there for the treatment facility that I used to work with, and it's like this girl, and her mom's like got her shoulder, like patting her shoulder, and she goes, "Together it says together we can overcome addiction." I know for a fact, which this is such a breach of anonymity. I guess the person has to agree to be in it, right? But they only use people that were actually patients at the facility. So, because my friend was actually in a bulletin board, and it was her and her grandma said it was like her grandma holding her, and it said, "I got my granddaughter back." It was actually really cute, and it was everywhere. So basically, my friend is famous on billboards. Excuse me, I would love to be on a billboard. Mine would be like me holding my finger up and it'd say, if you don't know what you don't know is a lot, or who cares. If I ever became a billionaire and won the huge lottery or something like that, I just put up billboards of myself all over with my little catchphrases. Wouldn't that be so funny? Oh my God, hold on a second.
Thank you for choosing Starbucks. What can I get for you?
Can I get a venti iced coffee with 2 equal, please?
Do you want any cream in that?
No, thanks.
All right, venti iced coffee, 2 equal. I'll have it up the window.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, let me get my coffee and then I'll be right back in a little while. I got my coffee. Oh, you guys, there is like the sweetest old couple walking out the door. And they got their coffee, and he's got like one of those button-up old sweaters on, and they're literally probably like 85, if not older. And she's got like a little flowered, like, oh. See, that's what love should be. Love should be getting old together and not caring how each other's bodies look anymore, and sharing a cup of coffee on a Saturday night together outside of Starbucks, and sharing remember wins. And my cousin Caroline got married. I wrote this, she asked me to read something at her wedding that I wrote, and so I wrote this short story about how they went out. I should read it on here sometime, about how they went out and to this woman named Moira, and it's like, it was called Moira's Mystical Tea, and it was about like this woman Moira that couples would go to before they got married, and she would like read their tea leaves and give them wisdom about a lasting marriage. And really the message is that marriage, a lasting marriage. It was interesting because when my husband and I got married, I had this client at the time, straight male client, that was really supportive of us getting married and was like, I think that's so cool. And he was like, everybody can have a wedding, but not everybody can have a marriage. And I think it's very, very true, And so anyway, in Moira's Mystical Tea, she talks about the secret to marriage is, basically, marriages aren't really so much about passion, love, romance, loyalty, all that kind of stuff. I mean, all of that's wonderful, and I think that we've really fairy-tailed up marriages over time. Now, since I talk so much on here about our marriage counseling, I want the fairy tale romantic marriage, so I'll do whatever to have that. But in reading this book that we're reading called Hold Me Tight, it talks in there about how the purpose of marriage has changed in time, and that we've really become kind of jaded because we see these like movie marriages that are like, oh, I love you so much, and that doesn't really happen, but it does happen for some people, and I want that, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get that. But in this short story that I wrote, I was saying that basically marriages, you walk, if your husband is asleep in bed at night and it's cold and you notice that his feet are out, you cover them up, When they're sick, you bring them chicken noodle soup and you ask them if they need anything, and, when they're sick and they're being a bitch. Oh my God, the school that my cousin went to, Wyandotte, is just totally taken down. Look at that. Oh my Lord, I didn't even realize it. So sad. So anyway, I think when we talk about tolerance in marriages, a lot of times it's like, I know friends of mine who are like, their husbands are not like good sick people. Do you know what I mean? Like when they're sick, they're just total assholes. But marriage is kind of like tolerating that a little bit and knowing that that's part of them being sick, and being there with them through the hard times, being there with them through the good times. I mean, the whole idea of marriage in good and in bad is so true, I mean, it really is. And sometimes the good times are harder than the bad times. They really are, because it puts your marriage out of perspective. When the money's great and you're getting along and you're traveling, all of that's wonderful, but then you wonder what's going to happen, on the flip side of it. So I don't know, it's weird, the advice that I've heard from people over time that I think, really is great marriage advice. When I was getting married, I asked this friend of mine who's 75, 80, I think he's 82 or 83 now. So 6 years ago, he would have been 75, 76. And he said, divorce is not an option. a lot of things are going to happen in your marriage, but if you go into your marriage with thinking to yourself that divorce is not an option, which we all know divorce is an option, but if you go into it with thinking that divorce is not an option, the chances you'll last a lot longer in the marriage because you're willing to work through issues that other people might just go, oh, let's just get divorced over this, right? And I think that's very true, you know? My dad said when he spoke at our wedding, he said that people say that marriage and relationships are 50-50. He goes, I think that's bullshit. He said, I think marriage and relationships are 100%, 100%. And you've got to put 100% into your marriage at any given time, not even considering or worrying about what the other person is doing. And it's not a competition and it's not a race. And I absolutely agree with that, right? Because when you start getting into a competition or a race with your partner and you say, I'm doing so much for this marriage, but you're not, or, you know, I'm working really hard in this relationship, but you're not, like, that's a very dangerous place to be in a marriage or a relationship, you know, because then all of a sudden you see your partner as your opponent instead of your teammate. And we've all been there, you know, we've all been there, I think, in friendships, relationships, or whatever. It's like having that friend that, like, everything great always happens to, and at the same time, like, you're so happy for them, but, like, in comparison to your life, you're like, everything, like, I know my mom had a really hard time, like, when she was going through a divorce, which, let's not feel too sorry for my mother, okay? My mother was the ex-wife of a prominent plastic surgeon. She got a nice settlement and a house and a car and, you know, on and on and on, but like, all of her friends were married, all of her friends were continuing to go on vacation, and, like, she was very, very lonely, I know. And I remember, like, one time we went somewhere, I can't remember where, but I would always bring my mom, like, a t-shirt or something back from wherever we went, somewhere in the Caribbean. We used to go to the Caribbean a lot when I was growing up because my dad sails. And I brought her back a t-shirt from somewhere, and she said to me, and I was probably like 10 or 11 at the time, I don't know that I fully understood it until later, and she said, sweetie, I really appreciate that you always bring me souvenirs, but to be really honest with you, it kind of hurts me because I don't get to go to those places. And I stopped bringing her stuff, you know, and I think for her it was, like, really, really hard. It was like, I know she was happy for me as her child that I got to go to those places. I know that she was, I don't know, I think a lot of it was really hard for her, you know, like, on my 16th birthday, my dad got me a car, I know what it was a guilt car, because my dad was so busy with me growing up, and I ended up getting a nicer car for my 16th birthday than my mom was driving at the time, and I felt shitty about it, you know, and, my mom was happy about it, but at the same time, I think she kind of was like, okay, so I paid the dues so that my kid could get the reward. I don't know. You know, it's hard. And to be happy for somebody else, because I think what they're going through is a reflection of, you know, I don't know, like through time, like, I have a friend of mine that I've been friends with since I was, like, 19 and he was 21, and we've been good friends all this time, and we started off with us going on a date. It did not work out, and we agreed just to be friends, which was a good idea, but he's very successful in life, and he's had a lot of really good things happen to him, and I'm very proud of him, and he's worked his ass off. He deserves it. I worked my ass off. But anyway, you know, he deserves it. He literally works his ass off. He deserves it, right? But he's had some horrific shit happen to him in his life, too. And I can remember there were periods of his life when I thought, my God, nothing negative ever happens to him. And I just feel like my life is just one learning experience after another, and just one, like, teaching experience after another. And I'm just tired of it, you know? And when do good things start happening to me? And blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, it was hard. And not because I didn't want those things for him, not because I didn't want happiness and all of that stuff for him, but because his success spoke of my, like, lack of success at that point in my life. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And so it's like, you want to be happy for your friends and not jealous of them. And I think that's where you find some true humility in life. But then, like, looking at his life, like, he went through a horrible situation with his ex that I do not wish on my worst enemy. I mean, a horrible situation. I prayed for him so hard, I thought, he is not going to make it through this. Like, I thought, like, it was detrimental to his soul. So, you know, like, I think that in life, everybody has ups and downs, and I think it's really easy to look at somebody's life and go, oh, you know, they get to travel here, they drive that car, they have this, but you don't really emotionally know what their life is like. You know what I mean? And it's hard, and a lot of people have a lot of sadness and a lot of loneliness, and you know, that's where I try to like step back from the physical, the superficial, the house, the car, the bags, whatever, and look at the human inside and try to find some compassion for whatever it is that they're going through, you know? I have to say this, and I know people are going to think this is total bullshit, but like, the happiest I've been in my entire life is when I have like just had my bills paid, but I don't have enough to go like rampantly spend money on a bunch of other shit. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want for a whole lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have a good book to read, my bed is made, I've eaten a good dinner, our bills are paid for the month. Like, that's a happy place for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want to be consumed with like too much. And you know, it's interesting because I did all these videos. I did this video about Trisha Paytas the other day about Patreon, and people were speculating on there saying that like, oh, if you start a Patreon or you're going to start, I'm not starting a Patreon, okay? And let me make this very, very clear, because somebody said this in there and I thought, oh, that's absolutely right. They said in a comment, you know, the old adage goes that just because somebody jumps off a bridge, do you, right? And all of these people are starting Patreons. I would never in a million years have ever thought of even, like, have the thought go through my head. I'm not going to be a bullshit artist. I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't gone, well, maybe I should start a Patreon. If everybody else is doing it, why shouldn't I? But I never in a million years would have thought about starting a Patreon if everybody else hadn't. Does that make sense? Like, it would never have occurred to me, because I do make some extra money from YouTube, and it's nice. It's not bad. You know what I mean? And, like, so I don't know, it's like, but it was interesting when I was like reading those comments, because like I never think of it in I never think of me making videos or doing these vlogs in those contexts, if that makes sense. I'm gonna put ads in my videos. I'm not stupid. I mean, I'm just going to. Everybody else does. That's not an excuse, but I'm going to, you know? And I dedicate a lot of time and effort, and I love doing this. That being said, I'm not going to get on here and say, like, I work so hard and whatever. I put several hours a day into something that I love to do. But, you know, I think it's very much like anybody else, that when you have, like, a true passion of selling art, and this is not art, I understand that, but, like, if you're doing paintings or photography or knitting or whatever, if you're selling your stuff, like, at a booth somewhere and you make a little extra money, well, that's great. If you don't, well, that's great, too. You're not going to stop doing it. You know what I mean? So, for anybody out there worried that that's the direction that I'm going, that's not. Sanders Kennedy started a Patreon, and he put on there today $2,500 limit to go and basically spend an afternoon with him. And I thought, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. Like, and I like Sanders. I'm not dogging him. But, like, desperate are we? If somebody in Indianapolis, like, I got this message from an email from this girl, and she was like, I'd like to have coffee with you sometime. I live in Indianapolis. And I mean, obviously, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but I don't have enough free time that I can go and have coffee with, you know, every comment that I get. I would love to. I would love to, like, get together and do. I said one night it would be so much fun to do, like, a pajama bowling party somewhere. I would love to do something like that, right? But do I think that I am so fine that I deserve somebody to pay me $2,500 to go walk around Indianapolis with me? Are you fucking kidding me? No, ma'am. Okay? Like, that is some bullshit. People have lost their damn minds. You know, at the end of the day, and I know, I mean, maybe I'll get some criticism for this. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is what I feel about all of it, okay? You know, it's like that old saying with, like, W.C. Fields, and he's talking to the prostitute, and he's like, will you have sex with me for, you know, like, $1? And she's like, what do you take me for? And he goes, okay, $10,000. And she's like, well, for $10,000, yeah. And he goes, no, he says something like, will you have sex with me for $10,000? And she says, yeah. And he goes, how about $1? And she goes, what do you take me for? And he goes, a whore. Now we're just wrangling the price. And that's exactly it, you know? Like, at what point does it become just literally like soul prostitution? Like, what am I not willing to sell for $1, you know? At the expense, I don't know, somebody just commented on my video too, and they said something about their money on Patreon will run out when the people that are donating the money runs out. And I thought that's kind of true. It's like sad, you know? It's like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going on and on about. I just like, I don't get it. It like sometimes like, it makes me sad. And then like, so many people that I know are like wanting to start channels. And I think that's so cool, that whole like, just like, hey, I'm starting a channel and I'm so excited about it and I don't really care if I make a lot of money. And, you know, like, I honest to God, like the money, I never even like realistically thought I would make even like any money whatsoever off of it, right? You just don't think that way. You don't ever think like, oh, I'm gonna get some views and get money, or maybe $30 or maybe $50 or whatever. My booktube channel literally, like, I mean, I think for the first 6 months to 8 months sat at like $21. You have to make $100 for the threshold anyway to even get a check cashed from AdSense. So it was like, it was just never like, for me, like it was about that. So then when I hear people and all they do is talk about that's what it is, it makes me sad. It's like, you're taking away from you what people love about you, you know? I don't know. I think that money in life distorts people. I'm not going to say I don't buy lottery tickets and all that kind of stuff, because I would love to win, you know, $200 million in the lottery. But what it would give me is safety and security. You know, I would buy my house. I would set up college funds for my nephews. I would buy my mother-in-law's house so she didn't have to work anymore. You know, I'd buy my cousin's house for her. And then I would set, you know, I don't know, $20 million aside so Alex and I could go travel and live happily for the rest of our lives, and on very little, you know? We don't need a lot. We don't need more than the condo that we have now. And, you know, it's like, I mean, I feel very blessed to even have that. And so it's interesting to me, this just like, this need for money, and more, instead of taking a look at what we don't need. It's like, remember watching that documentary earlier in the year about, it's called Minimalist, I think. If you guys watch it on Netflix, it's fantastic. And really, the whole idea of decluttering and getting rid of stuff is like a spiritual cleansing of our mind and our body. Like, getting rid of stuff declutters our mind. I was talking about this on my booktube channel yesterday, because I'm thinking about like unhauling like a shit ton of my books that I have in my basement that I just don't need. When I think about like getting rid of like a lot of my clothes, my books, just shit sitting around, I just want it gone, like, right? Why do I need more money to buy more shit that I don't need, because I don't use the shit that I have anyway? Like, I don't get that. Like, I don't get that mentality, right? Wouldn't we be a better society if we could do more on less money and use less in our lives? I mean, isn't that sustainability? And I'm not saying that from like a political point of view. I'm saying, like, wouldn't that be wonderful for all of us? And we help each other out a little bit more, that people that needed it, instead of like me. I don't know. And like, I don't get angry about it. It just makes me sad. You know what I mean? Like when we go to somebody's house, and I'm not, you know, listen, I love a gorgeous house too, don't get me wrong, okay? Or a gorgeous car and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna sit on here and act like I'm better than everybody else, because I'm not. I love all that kind of stuff too. If you wanna buy me a Gucci messenger bag, I'll carry it proudly, all that kind of stuff. But we were at somebody's house not too long ago for dinner, and they have like a 5-bedroom house, okay? That's probably about 12,000 square feet. And it's just the two of them living there. And I thought, this is the biggest waste of a house I've ever seen in my entire life. And like, I can't do that and just go, God, this house is gorgeous, without thinking about like, people that don't have any place to sleep. I don't know. I just can't, you know? Like, what happens when you get to that point where you can't... Do you know what I mean? Like, does anybody else think that way? Like, I don't want to sound like, you know, just like I'm crazy, but it's like, I don't want to be that person where I can't just enjoy life, but where I can't think about, like, what is going on? Like, what is our need for all of this money? Like, what does it say about us? Like, why do we need all of this, you know? Why are we infatuated with all of this? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm just talking in circles now. It just makes me sad. Some of the happiest people that I've ever met in my entire life have very, very little and are completely plugged in to what makes them very passionate about life. And some of the wealthiest people in the world that have the most money that I've met, you wouldn't even know that they had a cent. And I am dead serious. Because they live in some very, you know, like basic apartment or condo or house. They have some very basic car, you know. And maybe they spend all their money traveling, and they travel very, very well and go to some very cool places, exotic places, or they buy pieces of art that they enjoy, but they just don't, like, I'm talking about, like, true wealth, like, families, names of, like, household product kind of wealth, you know, and, like, and then there's people that, like, just have this need to always just feel this entitlement to more and more and more and more and more. Have at it, you know? And then when you self-destruct one day because you realize that all of this more that you need doesn't fulfill anything inside of you. It just doesn't. It doesn't fill that gap or that hole of emptiness inside of you. It makes me sad, you know? It's like, you're missing the point. Life is short. To chase after a bigger house or, you know, the best car in the entire world. And people are like, well, I work very hard. If that's what I want to have, I agree. You work very hard. Spend your money on what you want to spend your money on. I think you should. I totally think you should. I wouldn't tell anybody not to. And I love that stuff too, you know? But at the same time, it's like I think that you can be a humble person and drive a Porsche. I truly believe that, okay? I think you can be a humble person that's hardworking, that does a lot of compassionate well-being for the world, right? And drive a Porsche, or, you know, drive a G-Wagon or something like that. But then I think you can also be the person that's just about those things. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that you have to drive a piece of shit and live in, like, a, you know, hovel and, you know, not have any, like, worldly goods whatsoever to be a humble person. I don't believe that. But I think that when your goal in life is just to have those things, maybe take a step back and see why it's so important to us, you know? There have been moments in my life where those things were very, very important to me. I'm not going to lie and act like they weren't, you know? I went through about a 2-year period where I had to have this Cartier Santos watch. I mean, I was going to lose my shit if I didn't get this watch, okay? I mean, not seriously, but, like, I really wanted this watch, right? And my mother got a good divorce settlement, but, you know, she couldn't hold a job for very long in her life, and, if you know me, she was very similar. She didn't pick her battles well, so she didn't keep jobs for very long. But she lived off of whatever she got when I was 8 years to the time that she died when I was 36. So what is that, 28 years? 28 years she lived on her divorce settlement. Very meek. My mom lived very meagerly. And I remember, like, I said something about this watch, and I was saving money for this watch, and I was putting $100 aside a week for this watch. And my mom looked at me and she said, I'll never forget this. And my mother was somebody that really liked nice things too, clothes. I mean, she knew clothes, she knew all this kind of stuff, right? And she said to me, and she wasn't working at the time, and she said, this watch is really important to you. And I said, yeah, I like nice things. I want this watch. I like nice watch. And she goes, this watch is almost too important to you. And I said, no. I said, I just like nice things. And she said, well, I'll tell you what. She goes, why don't we go up to because this is a jewelry store up the street, this Reese Nichols. Do they have that Cartier watch in there? I'd already gone in there and tried it on. And I said, yeah. This at the time, I mean, we're not talking about a, you know, 30,000 Patek Philippe. This was like probably, I think, a $6,000 watch. And she goes, why don't we go up there and we'll try it on? This kind of breaks my heart even thinking back on it. And she kind of put me in my place, and I didn't even realize it at the time. And she said, and then I'll get the watch for you if you want it. And I said, no, Mom, you don't have to do that. And she's like, well, I've got a little savings set aside. If you really want this watch that bad, I'll get it for you. And then she looked at me and she said, do they do layaway? And y'all know what layaway is, right? And I thought, my mother, who's taught me to be a kind, caring, and compassionate person my entire life, would go and put her savings on this watch and then pay it. I mean, no jewelry store has layaway, I don't think. Let's be for real. Maybe on like an engagement ring or something like that, but not on a watch. Not on who does layaway on a Cartier watch? It's ridiculous. Who needs to? And I said, no, Mom, don't. And I looked at her and she was kind of smiling like, it's not a necessity. She didn't say that to me, but that's basically what she was saying. And things changed very quickly after that for me. I no longer needed that watch. I no longer tried it on. I never went back and tried it on. Don't get me wrong, I would love to have that watch, but I don't need it. And I ain't starting no Patreons to get it. And that's not even what I would spend my money on today, even if I had it sitting in the bank. So isn't it sad that over time our conception of what we need versus what we want changes and defines who we are? I don't ever want to go back to who that person was that really felt like I needed that watch. And what I really realized was at that time of my life, I was very insecure. And this was before I got sober too. I was very insecure. I had no self-concept, no self-esteem, and I thought that this watch would make me feel better about myself. That's really what it was about. I don't know that I connected the dots, but that's what it was about. And I know today that watch wouldn't do shit for me. It did maybe make me feel better for 5 minutes when I had it on, but after that, no, not at all. No article of clothing, no bag, no house. Nothing can do that for you. And she got that. My mom understood that, So, all right. I'm done sharing my spoiled brat stories with you guys. It's taken me literally almost 45 years to unwork myself to the point where I now feel like I'm even starting on being selfless. Like, it's work, Like, a lot of us have to work on it on a daily basis. And I think that's the goal, is to remain teachable, try to be selfless and compassionate and kind on a daily basis. And if we can do that, if we can at least attempt to do that and get out of self, then we're doing some good work. I love you guys. Bye. So, I wasn't going to vlog anymore tonight, but I was in my live stream. I did a super long live stream tonight. I did it for like 3 hours. And people were like, oh, we miss your long vlogs. I was like, my vlogs have been like 40 minutes lately. And they're like, no, we miss your super long vlogs. So I was like, well, I don't know how long my vlog is already. Like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I probably should vlog a little bit longer. Plus, I went on that whole rampage about money, and I don't even know why I did. So, which is like literally like 2 seconds later for you guys, but for me, it's been 6 hours since I've been, so I don't feel as strongly, I should say, about all of that as I do now. I mean, I still feel the same way, but I don't feel as strongly. But I was thinking, I was like standing in the kitchen, and I was like, there have been so many times in my life. I remember when people haven't wanted to hear me talk. I remember this woman that I used to work with. I say this woman, but she was like literally my same age. And we were both like in master's programs at the same time. And I remember like one Saturday, I had gone to brunch at this restaurant. It was actually Cafe Patio, but it was the original one in Broad Ripple. And she was there with like her like a project team for her master's program. And I was there with like 2 friends eating brunch. And I saw her like 4 tables away. And I was like, shouted, I was like, let's say her name is Susie. It's not, but I was like, Susie! I used to actually work with a Susie, but it wasn't Susie. I was like, Susie! Like that. And she like turned and looked at me and she was like, hold it down. Like that, like hold it down. And I was like, did she just shush me? Like seriously? I was so humiliated and so embarrassed. And I feel like I've had so many people in my life that have like said things about my voice, said things about how I talk, said I talk too loud, told me to hold my voice down, don't talk so much, you talk so fast, hold it down, blah, 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 don't be loud, you're shouting, on and on and on. That at some point it's like nobody even wants to hear me talk, you know, is how I feel inside. Flash forward, you know, a year and a half after I started posting videos on YouTube, and it's like people are like, please make longer vlogs. And I'm standing in the kitchen and I was thinking about that tonight, and I was like, you know, what a cool thing that is that like there are people out there that actually want to hear you talk, you know? Like the one thing that you have been like the most, I don't know, like self-critical of my entire life, or the most like ashamed or embarrassed of, is now that like something like, you know, when I was a little kid and teachers would always say, you talk so much. Like that was on like literally every progress report that I ever got, like in elementary school. You know, Peter is a great student. Peter is very interested in everything, but he talks too much. He's always talking in class. Of which my mom would always write back, Peter talks a lot because he has a lot to say. She did. And, but it's funny, you know, that like the one thing that I looked at as a weakness all my life, I now look at as kind of a strength, which I think is a cool thing. So thank you for wanting to hear me talk and, you know, asking me to do that. It makes me feel, it makes me feel good about that. You know, it makes me feel wanted. And I think we all want to feel wanted to some degree, you know, don't you think? By anybody. And, so I don't know, if you go through the day and you think to yourself, what have I done to help somebody today? You've helped me by watching my vlog. You've helped me make me feel better about myself. So thank you. I hope I can do the same thing in return, you know. My throat is feeling better tonight as I reach for a Halls. When I was a little kid, my dad used to have this, he used to have this medical conference in Chicago. Like it was always like the 14th of December. And he would go up for the whole week with my stepmom. And my dad's nurse would drive me to the airport, and then she would fly me, or then they would fly me to Chicago. My dad would pick me up. I mean, there's so much construction on Indiana highways, it's ridiculous. And then I would fly to Chicago for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then drive back with my dad and my stepmom. And I remember I would fly up there and I have like this little trench coat on. And I would always at the airport get like Halls, but like in a thing, you know? And there was something to me that's very Christmassy about the smell of Halls. I must have been like sick one year when I went, which is why I got them. And I remember we would like walk around the streets and look at Michigan Avenue, and because my dad went to medical school at Northwestern and did his residencies up there, and we lived in Evanston. I was actually born in Chicago. My parents lived in Evanston. My mom worked at Northwestern Library. And so anyway, when I would fly up there with my dad and my stepmom, we would walk like along Michigan Avenue and look in all the windows. And do you guys remember, I don't know if they still do it the way that they used to, but like Saks and Marshall Fields and all of those windows were so elaborately decorated, Tiffany's. And they would have the things that moved in the windows. And then I remember we would go out to eat. And sometimes we didn't go to sometimes we'd go to real fancy restaurants, but other times we wouldn't. And like one night we would like go somewhere fancy and get dressed up, and I would wear a little tie and stuff and khakis with my trench coat. And we would go see a play, and my dad always let me pick, because I used to love to go see plays. Not really musicals, but plays. And I loved like mystery plays. And it's funny because for years we used to go see this play called Sheer Madness. And it was like audience participation. And it was about this murder mystery that took place like in a hair salon. I should have so known that I was gay back then. But anyway, I loved it. And and then, one year we went and we saw the Miss Firecracker contest, which they later made into a movie with Holly Hunter. And it's like one of my all-time favorite movies of life. And I remember we used to always go see these like little plays, and I loved it. And then we would come back late at night. We used to always stay at the Ritz-Carlton because the medical conference was in the water tower. So we would just stay on top, which on top of the water tower is the Ritz-Carlton. And they would put Frango mints from Marshall Field on your pillow at night. Oh my God, my camera is dead. There's no battery left. I cannot believe it. Well, anyway, and I would come back to the room and I would take a big bubble bath in the big tub. And I always had a corner room that like looked out over the whole city, and I would just sit there in the windowsill and have a Christmas movie on in the background while it was like snowing outside in Chicago, and eat my Frango mints. And then I would get into bed because I had my own room. I don't know why. My dad probably just wrote the whole thing off. And I would get into bed and I would read some scary little mystery. And I loved those trips so much. And I used to always think that I would end up living in Chicago. And I didn't. And I don't really have any desire to live in Chicago anymore. Isn't that funny? But I used to love those Christmas weekends. They were so fun. Maybe Alex and I will have to do that this year, is go up there for like a long weekend. That would be so fun, I think. We actually went up there last year because the girl that he works for, the doctor he works for, she did a medical conference, and we stayed at the same hotel and everything. It was really fun. But anyway, okay, the battery light is on. This is dead. So this is as long as I can give you guys tonight. I feel so bad. All right. Memories may be beautiful and yet. I love you guys. Bye.